Well, good Monday morning and welcome in to the Real Monica Adams Show. Are you having a good start to your day? If it's all gone awry, you've been up for a few hours and you're like, no, Monica, I need some help with this. I need a little inspiration. Well, we're going to give it to you. And we're going to tell you a story about one of the most inspirational people that I ever met in my career that unfortunately is no longer with us. You may have heard the news over the weekend. We are going to make sure that we honor him this morning and continue to give you information about what he did to our world. And I do say to our world because it was far reaching. It's the Real Monica Adams Show. And every morning we're on for you at 7 a.m. to bring you something different to start your day in a community that has formed over the last couple of years that I just absolutely adore. I love how everybody comes together. They help each other. They say good morning to each other. And our show would be nothing without your comments. And in fact, the person I'm going to honor said the exact same thing. A show that he had every Thursday at 4 o'clock. And I'm just wondering how we continue to honor him. And I have been thinking, in fact, I barely slept last night because I felt like he kept coming to me to try to give a message to say, this is how you honor moving forward. The movement that he tried to do, or I should say did, and how we can try to do that moving forward with the help of you, the community, sponsors. I want to come up with something so huge that his memory lives on forever. So it's really been deep in my heart and soul and my mind. The man I'm talking about is Brian McKenna, and we'll talk about him in just a second. Got a few stories of news you can use. There wasn't a lot going on today. March Madness, of course, continues. Illinois, unfortunately, they are out. So is Mizzou. So our local guys are not playing anymore, but the bracket's still there. Is it falling apart for you? Let me know if there's any teams that you're still cheering on. How about the Blues? We'll talk about them. St. Louis Cardinals. And then, we've been talking about all the damage from the recent tornadoes. We talk about flooding. What happens when someone's trying to sell you cars that maybe you didn't even know were in that type of damage? I talk about snakes in the grass. Well, I have a friend this morning that's joining us that's going to help you through that. And he's also going to tell you about why you really never have to go through the process of buying a car again. I'll explain that. He's going to do it for you, and we'll tell you all about his incredible business. Really, truly a man of the community wanting to hold your hand and help you with something that a lot of us don't like going through. That's all coming up this morning. I'll say hi to you. Look at all of your comments coming up as well. But I hope you're having a beautiful start. One thing we always want is to not say that it's really horrible weather. And today, we're not going to say that. In fact, for the next several days, it's going to feel very much like spring since we did kick off spring last Thursday. It's a segment that I'm not going to do for you. Our aspiring meteorologist, Beckett Moore, is going to. It's a segment we call What the Weather.
Good evening from St. Louis, Missouri, and it is a beautiful one.
All right. Good morning to our aspiring meteorologist, Beckett Moore, who is just back from spring break. So he doesn't have the absolutely gorgeous view that we saw last week with him. Beckett, good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning. How are you?
You doing some last minute technical things?
Yeah, I had to unmute my microphone real quick.
That's okay. So I know you're back, have made it back safely, and it's probably hard not to have that view that you had every morning.
Yes, it definitely is.
Yeah, you're getting ready to get back into the swing of going to school again. Are you starting back today?
Yes.
All right, looking forward. By the way, we haven't had a chance to talk in a while about where Beckett goes to school. Tell everybody that is new to the show where you are and what your favorite subjects are.
Yeah, so I go to DeSmet Jesuit, and my favorite subjects are probably geography, history, those sort of things.
Yep, it makes sense. And he just absolutely loves doing weather. You can see on the bottom of his graphics where you can follow him. YouTube and X is where he is most active. He's got a Facebook page as well, but I want you to watch the other two. For those that don't know you, Beckett, tell them what you really want to do when you get out of high school. Are you still thinking about where you want to go?
Yeah, I still am thinking about where I want to go, but definitely want to pursue a career in meteorology.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer. How young were you when you knew you wanted to go into this?
Probably like 8, maybe 7 or 8.
Yeah. And some of us go up. I wanted to be a doctor. That, my blood clot issue is the reason that I didn't go that route, but I use that in my personal training. But how many people at a very young age end up sticking with what they said they wanted to do? You can guarantee that this guy is going to be on your national, and who knows by that point where we'll be, because everything changes in TV and radio. So he will be at the top of his game, though. That I guarantee. My husband and I say all the time, we're going to say, remember when he was on our show? And we're very, very proud of you. He does a great job. So I'm going to let him do it. Tell us what it's going going to look like for today. And then we've got the big cards home opener coming up on Thursday. We'll find out if we need our umbrellas for that as well. So, Becca, take it away.
Yeah, so looking at the current conditions right now, we got a temperature of around 44 degrees this morning, and it's going to warm up into the low 60s, so around average for this time of the year. So looking at that hour by hour forecast again, we're going to be warming up into the 50s by lunchtime there with some sun, but there will be a couple clouds around as well. But overall, looking at a pretty sunny day today. Tonight, cloudy at 5 p.m., and then we keep those clouds throughout the evening towards 8 p.m., 10 p.m., 51 degrees. Now, tomorrow we're going to be warming up just a bit into the mid 60s, 44 in the morning, so around the type of weather we're dealing with this morning, 12 p.m., 58, and then as we head into 4 p.m., getting in the mid 60s there at 64, mostly sunny skies throughout the day. And lastly, our 7-day forecast, again, 61 is our high today. We are going to have some sunshine, but overall, mostly cloudy skies, low of 44 tonight. Now, tomorrow, we do have increasing sunshine and getting that high into the mid, maybe even into the upper 60s there at 67. Wednesday, 65, sunny skies. We do have a rain chance on Thursday with a high near 70. 82 on Friday, though we will have mostly cloudy skies, but man, is that way above average and very warm. And then 77, 71 Saturday and Sunday. Both, though, we're going to be watching for some rain chances.
Yeah. So, what would the normal high be, or what would the average be right now with us already hitting 82 on Friday? What would be the average?
Yeah, the average high is actually 60 degrees, and I feel like we've been pretty much above that almost every single day is what it feels like.
Yeah, it's great. But, again, if you live in St. Louis or in our surrounding areas, that's how St. Louis is. We've talked about it before. You could hit all four seasons in a day, and that's truly what happens in St. Louis. And we're going to talk about, some people still recovering from all the damage to their homes, the siding, the fences. I was driving around Old Lee May Ferry and saw where the tornado had come through that Barnhart area and Imperial. So we're going to talk about what happens when you have all these people acting like they're there to help you out. Did you all have any damage at your home?
No, just a couple branches down, but no.
Okay, that's good to hear. All right, Becca, we'll have a great day back to school after spring break, and then we'll talk to you again on Friday.
Thank you. Sounds good.
Again, aspiring meteorologist Beckett Moore. You know him, you love him. Follow him for all the latest, and he can be the most accurate meteorologist for you. If you are just tuning in and you've been away from, I would say, social media or any kind of news. I'm not a big advocate of watching news because all the negative things you don't want to hear about. This particular gentleman that I'm going to talk about today, and I want to do it from my heart, not from reading a teleprompter and telling the story from news, but telling the story through the eyes of the positive aspect of what he wanted for the world and how he came into my life 30 years ago. I had just started in sports. I was covering the St. Louis Blues, and I walked into the press box, and just this huge smile took over. And he came up to me and welcomed me and asked if I was new. Yes, the answer was, and then showed me around. The most important thing is he's like, this is where we're going to sit, but here, come on back. This is where the snacks are, Monica. And that was Brian McKenna, always with a smile, always with a helping hand, and always there to help anyone. And all the comments that I've seen on social media, every picture that's been posted, every story that's been told is the fact that the man made you feel like you were the most important person in the room. And I don't care who you were. Yes, he met so many celebrities. He was in sports radio forever. He was a regular guest on Sports Plus back when I was an intern in my early years, and then showing up on TV shows, on radio shows. He was there to MC and help out so many different organizations and did it with a smile. And I thought it was really interesting. He was doing his show, the Brian and Babs show, or actually the Babs and Brian show, because they did switch the name around. And that was with his neighbor, who I have been so concerned about ever since the news came out that, if you haven't heard, Brian McKenna passed away. He was tragically hit and killed in an accident at Hampton and Nottingham at 1 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. I got the news. Actually, I want to thank Rose. Rose was trying to alert me in a private message. I have to say, I think I'm very happy that I didn't see that, because I was in the middle of personal training clients at my house, and she had messaged me. I saw it come across my phone. I didn't look at it, or I may have just dropped to my knees and I wouldn't have been able to continue to train that morning. About an hour later, my friend Jules Karaginis, who you may have seen on a past show, she's with Espresso Yourself Coffee House in the city. She was a dear friend. He was a Lindbergh Flyer graduate, and She knew him well, as do thousands, and I mean thousands, all around, of course, our area, because he was a mainstay in the broadcast, sportscasting world of St. Louis, Missouri, Illinois. But truly, the heartfelt messages that are coming out are from so many throughout the area. If you just type in his name, you're going to see your social media pages flooded. Now, many people have been reaching out to me asking if there's any news on services. I have not seen any so far. We'll, of course, let you know that immediately and continue to follow this story. But after everything that man endured, if you followed his cancer journey from 2014 on, and he was just getting ready to have another surgery, he was actually doing his last show with Babs on March 20th. And here's the eerie thing, folks. He had a bunch of technical issues, as many of us do in this industry. And he was so mad because he's got high standards and a perfectionist. He was so mad because he was like, I do this every Thursday. Why did my camera flip? And so the first 5 to 6 minutes of the show, he kept saying he was itchy and bitchy. And I kept laughing at that. But once he was able to put the show back on course, his words were to Babs, this might be our last show. And I just kept crying every time I heard that because he had no idea that it would be that last show. But what can we do? This is what I want to ask you right now. As a community, how do we continue to carry on the vibe? What he always said, your vibe attracts your tribe. And it is so very true. I'm actually going to ask my guest today if he came in contact with Brian, what Brian meant to him and to our world. But folks, I ask that to you. Do we start a regular segment that is in honor of Brian and we show some fun clips of him? We continue to showcase what he did for our world and we carry on the McKenna vibe. I'm thinking of getting a sponsor and we give a portion of those proceeds to the charities that were near and dear to him. That's what's in my head right now. See, and I got to chill. And I don't want to cry too much on today's show, but that's what I feel needs to be done. That someone takes hold of this and says, I want my name behind that, because all it is the positive vibe that he wanted for the world, that I wanted for the world. Why did we get along so well? Because we both had the same mission. And if you have not seen the show that we did with him in 2023, I was sharing it. When we know when his services are, I am going to take that show and we're going to schedule it for the morning so that you can watch him all over again, bringing an incredible positive impact to the world. And I just want to say, my dear friend, I love you, and your death will not be for nothing. There's some reason why you had to be taken from us. I'll never understand. And many people at this point say that this is when they have a hard time with God, that a man would go through cancer hit after hit after hit and then be taken so tragically after going through all of that. I understand. And I'm with you. And a lot of people are suffering right now saying, I don't understand. I can't make sense of it all. I just want to tell you, I get that. And I wanted to honor him properly today. And I hope I did so. Brian, I love you. And thank you for shining on us. We've got a new angel in heaven who is a true comedian and making everybody up there laugh. Guaranteed that for sure. There he is, that lovely soul. Well, in other news today, if you were a Kohl's shopper, or you are a Kohl's shopper, but maybe an Amazon shopper as well, Kohl's is going to stop taking Amazon returns at some of their locations. And one of them is in our immediate area. That's Washington, Missouri, also Eau Claire, Wisconsin, and Leominster, Massachusetts. They've reportedly stopped, according to USA Today. In a statement, they said it's conducting a test in 3 stores that are temporarily dropping the service. And again, Washington, Missouri is one of them. It's unclear if Kohl's plans to discontinue Amazon returns in their other stores, but at least in one of our local stores, again, Washington, Missouri, they will no longer. I saw this over the weekend, and a lot of people are looking for different snacks to have, and maybe it was these Chomps meat sticks. Well, now, just like many things that we talk about, yet another recall. More than 29,000 pounds of Chomps meat sticks recalled. Idaho Smokehouse Partners, that's the company behind them, they notified the agricultural department after receiving 2 complaints from customers. They were shipped to stores in California, but also in Illinois. They also recalled its Chomps original turkey sticks to ensure none of those products are at risk. Evidently, some customers found pieces of metal in the product. So the company's advising you, if you had those beef or turkey sticks, to throw them out, or, of course, if you want your money back, return them for a full refund. Well, I was just telling my clients this over the the weekend. It cost $1,000 for us to take our 3 dogs to the vet the other day. And they're like, what the heck for? That is simply for Heartgard, Apoquil, or something like that for the dog being a little itchy. She also scratched the top of her head, so she had a little bit of a staph infection on there. And then it was just the regular test. $1,000 later, yes, it is becoming more and more expensive to own a dog or a cat. And unfortunately, it's about to get even more expensive. Okay, here's the deal. The costs are high. According to the latest True Cost of Pet Parenthood report for dogs and cats, dog parents can expect costs to increase as much as 7% this year, and cat parents could see a 10% increase. It is the sixth report by the online marketplace for pet care. So the average annual cost of a dog, ready for this, for 2025, according to Rover's data research, insights from real pet parents and experts, it's an estimated $1,390 to $5,295. Factors such as a dog's age, size, breed, and medical needs play that significant role. However, having said that, does that mean that you wouldn't get a dog or a cat? Nope. All of us dog parents and cat parents say, whatever, just going to have to take on another job. I've got 6 right now, so I guess it's a 7th in order to pay for all of them. All right, we have the National Day of calendar and our sports news, as well as what was at the top of the box office. Let's first do the National Day of calendar. What's on tap for you today? These 3 things. Not sometimes we've got like 6 or 7, but for today, it's National Cocktail Day, National Cheese Stick Day, and put those 2 together. And maybe for dessert, you have a chocolate-covered raisin because it is National Chocolate-Covered Raisin Day. How many of you have been to the box office recently? I have to say that my stepchild, he went to the movies with his new girlfriend. We asked him what he was seeing, and he said Snow White. And immediately the guy that was the owner of the restaurant that we were at, he looked at him. There was about a 5-second pause, and he goes, "You're a good man." And I was like, exactly. You're going to go see this movie, Snow White, which did, in fact, top the box office despite some bad reviews. Disney's live-action version of the classic fairy tale has topped the North American box office, taken in an estimated $87.3 million globally, but that is below expectations for a film which reportedly cost more than $270 million. Well, I mentioned March Madness still underway. You can drop in if one of your teams is still in the bracket. Otherwise, how about our Blues? They are digging and clawing everything they can possibly do to get that wild card, and they won again. This time, again, as you can see, the final score 4-1 against Nashville. Congratulations to the Blues, and a couple of games still on tap for you to watch as we get ready also for the Cardinals home opener. That's coming up for you on Thursday. That could have, as you just heard Beckett say, a possibility of having some rain affecting it. The Washington Nationals beat the Cardinals 2-1. So it's the Twins and the Cardinals on tap Thursday, the home opener, and that first pitch will be at 3:15. Well, there it is. That's what we do for you at the beginning of every show. We bring you up to speed and give you the news that we feel that you can use in the world. I'm going to look at all the comments. I know a lot of you probably dropping things in about our dear friend Brian McKenna. If you knew him, tell a story. Tell us what he meant to you, and just, again, how we can continue to honor the man that brought so much positivity to St. Louis. So I'll look at some of these comments for you and let us, we'll interact with you back and forth. We'll do that actually when we come back from the break. We're going to introduce you to Paul Meyer. Paul is with Car Dash LLC. What is Car Dash? What can he do for you? And as we start this, we're going to talk a little bit about Brian, because he did know Brian, but also he's really concerned about all the snakes in the grass that are coming to your house saying, oh yeah, you have this kind of damage. And some of them are even causing damage and then wanting you to file insurance claims, which again, as you know, is illegal, but that's what's happening. They're claiming you've got this wrong with your house or this wrong with your car. We saw so much damage from that a couple of weeks ago. We're going to discuss that. And then we're going to discuss his business, which is unlike anything that I've seen. If you all hate going through the process of the car buying experience, well, he's going to walk us through this. Sure, you might enjoy going and look like the fancy, oh, these are pretty. But then after that, you don't want to deal with the, all right, well, here we go. We got to try to negotiate. Oh, they're going to act like they're going back and talking to the manager. Yeah, whatever. We don't want to do all of that. Well, you don't have to any longer. Literally, have you ever wanted a concierge for your car buying experience? That's what Paul does. And we're going to introduce you to Paul when we return.
Carroll House Furniture homes look the best because of our free design service. Our designers please your taste.
Let's reimagine your room with 50 brand name choices.
We'll create a 3D design with a 360 view for your room.
Free design services are just the beginning. Free 0% financing, fast free delivery and setup, and the guaranteed lowest prices in the country with no stipulations.
You'll get a perfect custom floor plan for your new dream room.
Carroll House Design, because you like nice things.
I just want to say I had an absolutely amazing time getting together with you and talking about how everybody can make a day just a little bit better than it was yesterday. You're doing tremendous things. I just love the spirit in which you want to help those around you and help your community. You've always been like that. What a great time, what a great show. I love our fellowship. I look forward to doing more with you in the future and checking out a few of these churches and seeing where our paths are going to cross and what kind of fun and entertainment and love we can bring to the table. I love this and I think you're doing a killer job, so love you.
Well, welcome back to the Real Monica Adams Show. I'm your host, Monica Adams. We're going to look at the comments. And one of the things that Brian and I were very big on, and I still will continue this, is to make sure you're heard. This is your show. So we want to hear from you. You can literally make any comment you want. You want to talk about the things we're talking about? You just want to throw a curveball in and say something that happened over the weekend, maybe a new place you went to, or you want to ask anything about the show. Please let me know. I do want to give a shout out to Love Launch. I mentioned that the reason that I was stopped and wanted to go into that store was because of this. This is the blouse that I'm talking about, and I ended up getting that. So hello to Leah with Love Launch. Thank you so much for having us for a Mobile Monica last week. And we'll tell you about the Mobile Monica coming up this Wednesday in just a second. Let me bring my guest on before we look at the comments and interact with you about our dear friend Brian. This is Paul Meyer from Car Dash. Paul, thanks for coming in. So glad to finally have you in studio.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
Paul and I have been talking about doing this for a while now, and it just made sense with the timely aspect of what has happened with all the damage over the last couple of weeks. First, let me ask, did you have any damage at your home?
Oh yeah, had roof damage, siding damage, air conditioners, trampolines gone.
Really?
Yeah, interesting.
I was driving yesterday to go, or no, 2 days ago. I took the dogs for a walk after we got the devastating news about Brian, and I just felt like I needed to walk and just be out in nature. And I saw the babbling brook a little different. I listened to the birds chirping a little bit different. It's like something tragic has to happen for you to wake up a whole nother level. And I think that's the way we honor Brian, is to say, whatever you've been doing in life, if you've been having a pity party, he was actually talking to his counselor, and his counselor said, but it's okay. He was really upset because he's like, after 11 years, I'm still dealing with this damn cancer. And the counselor said, okay, I'll tell you what, it's okay. And he's like, what? He goes, it's okay to have a pity party. Just don't live in Pity City, right? It's meaning don't always stay there.
Right.
But to be able to have that from time to time, it's okay. And so when I was driving down to go to the park, I was driving by Old Lee May Ferry, and that's where I saw a ton of damage. You can definitely tell that was one of the main areas where the tornadoes came through. So all those people, and to all of you that have been affected by the damage, our heart goes out to you because it's still a long road.
Right.
And we mentioned, Paul, that there's a lot of people that are snakes in the grass trying to take advantage of people. So that's the topic we're going to talk about today. But before we do that, did you know Brian McKenna?
I went to school with Brian and had a chance to talk to him a few times, interact with him in school, and followed him as he was going through his cancer journey and his broadcasting, his radio shows, his broadcast he did, the BAB, Brian. That was it was interesting, and I get a thrill out of seeing people thrive. Seeing people just take life, run with it, make it a better place, and no matter what you're doing. When you see somebody when you saw somebody like Brian or like yourself, you know that it's going to be a good day. You know everything's going to work out. Everything's going to be great. And the people he had and how we interacted, and and how we did with life is just amazing to see that.
It is, and I don't want it to stop, and that's the stuff that we're talking about. So Rose said, Brian helped me with stray rescue when I took a dog home from the country. He followed up with me when I was going through it. He knew someone from somewhere, everywhere. He had a connection, used it to help people. Plus, he was, and she capitalized, funny. He was the quickest witted person I've ever met in my life. My husband and I would just read, and you wanted to have some kind of motivation, inspiration from him, and then laughter from him. Right. He had the craziest sense of humor ever. Yes, great human being for sure. Go Blues, rest in peace, Brian. I saw him on your show. He was awesome. Twins or Cardinals, can't decide who to cheer for. Okay. We were talking about animals and how much we're paying. Julie said she just paid $288. Richard with Dude's Playground said the Dude's yearly checkup, $325. I'm telling you, you're getting off easy. The fact that we just spent $1,000, it was crazy. Okay, Rose says we need to carry on how he felt about helping people and making people feel important and put others first. He accomplished that. Always knew how to put a smile on your face. I totally agree with you, Monica. Chris says, I've been thinking about the same thing nonstop all weekend. It's the vibe cannot stop. Your tribe and your vibe together. And it really is that wake-up call, isn't it, Paul,
Yes.
of who you surround yourself with. And if you feel like everything's going wrong in your world or you feel toxicity and drama, you start looking around you and like, what are you surrounding yourself with?
Right.
Your vibe attracts your tribe. So again, we're going to continue to honor. If you've got any ideas moving forward, just drop them in the comments. I would love to hear from you on that. Okay, Paul. So
Yes.
we're going to get into what Car Dash is all about in just a second, but help us, guide us, hold our hands with this, because there are some people right now I know knocking on doors
Right.
of those that have had the damage that you mentioned at your home, the roof. I mean, I'm seeing the tarps all over roofs everywhere, but we also saw so much crash down on vehicles and
Right.
all these damaged vehicles. There's flooding that happens to cars. There's damage to them. And then people go and try and sell these vehicles and you have no idea what it's gone
Right.
through. So you help us with a lot of that. Where do we even begin with it?
Well, the problem with a lot of this is you really don't know what you're buying when you're buying a used car, and too many people shop by price alone.
Yeah.
And they really don't know what they're getting. They just think, oh, I paid $2,000 for this car, and it runs great. But you don't really know the damage and really what you're buying. More times than none, I see people buy these cars, and they're calling me 2 to 3 weeks later, and their car the repairs that cost more what they paid for the car.
Yeah.
And this happens way too much because they really don't know what they're looking at. So, after being in the car business for so long and for 20 plus years, I got to hear what people liked about it, what they didn't like about it, what they would really hope something would transpire that would be better. And so when I finally got out, I made my plan and ran with that, prayed about it, and thought about the best way on how to help people.
So I know years ago, I was taught that if you are purchasing a vehicle, that you should get some kind of a report on it that would hopefully show you if it's been in accidents, et cetera. Is that kind of a report also going to say if it's had damage to it, or is it only when there's a report of an accident?
Only when there's a report of an accident, or somebody say if they has a small damage to the car or a dent in their car, and they don't want to report it on Carfax. Well, once you take your car into a shop to get it repaired and you file an insurance claim, then it gets posted on the Carfax on what happened to your car.
Okay.
So people get around that just by paying cash for it. If they want to do that, then it doesn't get reported.
What are some of the horror stories? Because again, let's say it's been through flooding, and we've been looking at some of these pictures that Zach put together for us. It's been through flooding. You have no idea what's happened inside, the internal side. They may have been able to doctor it up on the outside, but you might be buying a lemon.
In some cases you are, and you just don't know unless you know what to look at.
Yeah.
And even at that point, you need somebody who knows what they're doing to look at the car and able to see the damage, and they'll be able to see what's been covered up.
But a lot of times, especially if you're not going through a dealership, which many times, people go back and forth. And I know my dad used to always go, no, don't go to a dealership. Let's find, well, let's work together with another human being that's just selling a car. And at that point, though, it always used to scare me because you're signing on the dotted line. And then once you've done that, and you have no warranties or anything like that, you're done with it. And then all of a sudden, that whole lemon thing is, wait a minute, I didn't know this was wrong. And that it's out of my hands now.
Right. And unfortunately, that's the case. So I try to work around that and get around that by holding people's hands through the whole process and going over the cars, finding the right car, making sure it's the right one, making sure it's the right price, making sure that that they're paying the right bill on the insurance, making sure everything's going to work out, and finding and getting the car for them.
If you're just tuning in, again, let me reintroduce my guest, Paul Meyer. He is the owner of Car Dash, and we're going to talk about your time in the industry. You have been in the financial aspect of cars. You've worked with dealers, probably every single dealer in our area.
Yes.
But when you first got into the business, what was your first job?
I was selling cars. I started selling cars, and very good at it. I loved it. I love working with people. And it was, for me, it was fun. And honestly, I would work 7 days a week. At that point, I didn't have my son. So even on Sundays, the general manager would give me the keys, and I'd open the dealership on Sundays because that's when people are out looking at cars.
Right.
Because they don't want to be bothered.
Yeah.
Well, they were bothered that day. But, they would come in, and I would make it easy. I'd show them the cars. I'd take it out for a drive. I'd usually have, music blasting. I'd have the grill going. I'd have the TV on for football games. And people would say, I didn't know you were even here. I said, here we are. What can I help you with?
Yeah, what can we do?
And more people were laid back on Sundays because they didn't have that fear of walking in and being attacked by salesmen when they can go just look at cars.
Right.
And it was a lot easier. It was a much funner process. I made it better. And that started sparking the idea of future on down the road. After I learned more, what can I do? This is something I would really love to do.
Well, probably because, and this is the thing, if you have ever gone through the experience, if somebody's done it for you, you know what, kudos to you. But normally when we all have to go through it, what would you say, because I know what's in my head, what would you say is, or how about the top 3 things that people hate about having to go through to buy a car?
Oh, they hate having to go through the process. They hate having to go through all the the pressure tactics of sales and sit there and play games all day.
Yep.
When the place is crowded and there's a lot going on, you'll be sitting there and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And more times than not, people will buy the car just to be done with it.
Yep.
And to move on. Well, it's then when they buy the car and they get it home and they thought, well, what did I do? And they start looking at paperwork in their car, and they try calling in, and they won't get calls back, or whatever the case is, whatever the case is on that, they would just at that point be done, hate it, and they don't want to do it again.
Right. It's because we don't even really know. I mean, you can look up on different sites of maybe the window or the range of what maybe that car should go for. But then suddenly you're looking at the sticker price and you're like, why are they so much higher? Why do we have to go through this whole negotiating when you know that this isn't what I'm going to pay? So, but I don't know how far down I can come. I just remember I'm as big into cars as you probably are. So from a little girl on, I always loved sports cars. And actually Paul came up today and he's like, is that your car? That's beautiful. I love beautiful cars. But I remember buying my 1991 Corvette. And go ahead, talk about your car buying experience. What do you hate? Lance, I'll get to your comment in just a second here. I loved seeing it. I loved riding in it, but then came back and then it was, again, the used car salesman that I hated, that mentality. Oh, okay, you look great in that car. I'm like, no, I'm not going to buy the car. And he's like, yeah, no, get in. I mean, he knew as soon as he got me in that car, you guys knew. Right. As soon as you get him in the car, it's suddenly, yep, this feels good. Right. But then it was that whole thing of, oh no, we can't take that amount. And I'm like, oh, well then, okay, then no. Oh, well, hold on. Let me talk to let's talk to the general manager. So he comes back. This is absolutely the lowest we can go. And so you sit there in your head going, did I really get a good deal or did I just get swindled? Right. And I think that's the part that we all hate. That's sure you've heard that over and over again.
More times than none. And, I would sit down with people especially when I was in finance, I would sit down with the customers afterwards and get them laid back and we would talk and I would just ask them, what did you like? What didn't you like? What brought you here today? And just go forward. And one thing I have to say is they always had a good experience after we were done talking. But I would hear from them later on because I would give everybody my cell number if they had any questions. So they would text me or call me and say, I can't get a hold of service. I can't get a hold of a sales guy. I can't. I don't even know. I wasn't even showing the features on this car. This car isn't the right one. Can I bring it back? Well. Unfortunately, no. So, right. So at that point, I just kept on writing this down, saving this information, and putting together my plan and purpose on how to make this better.
I love that you just said purpose because, Paul, I know you've watched the show for a while. And one of the questions I always ask people is to dig deep inside and say, what's your purpose?
Right.
What's our purpose here on earth? And our purpose, by the way, can do this sometimes, but we've got this big driving force. Paul had no idea. For decades, you were making little mental notes and not realizing probably what you were going to do with all that information until all of a sudden he found his passion, which is what we're going to talk about today. So I'm going to give you all the information, first of all, on the screen. We're going to take a break. We'll look at some of your comments. And Car Dash, if you've never heard of them before, there's the website, by the way, as well as the location, phone number, information on how you can get a hold of Paul, and you will want to. Not only you, but you're going to want to start telling this to your family and friends and go, oh my gosh, we don't ever have to go through this again. Yeah, follow him there on social media as well. What's your best social media page? Is it Facebook, Instagram?
Facebook, Instagram. We're doing TikTok, but I'm looking to expand all of that and dig deeper into it. So it's Facebook right now is the biggest one for me. It's the biggest platform, but we're branching it out.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back with Paul, and we're going to talk about what he does as your true concierge in all of this, so that you, from here forward, never again have to go through the process that you don't like to go through, which is that whole car buying experience. Any questions for Paul? Any comments? Or, hey, I just want to know, you know what? You can just very quickly just drop in favorite car, because we can add, we both are a big car. In fact, the cars you have on your website, I absolutely love. And we took one of those for a little thumbnail today. But beautiful vehicles. Right now, what are you driving? I'm going to ask you a few things. What are you driving? What's your dream car? And do you name your car? Where'd that all come from, by the way? Let's talk about that. More with Paul Meyer when we return.
Wow, I just got off live with the real Monica Adams. What a wonderful experience. I don't watch news because of all the negativity that it brings and the way it drives me emotionally to a place I don't really like to feel. So to be a part of a show that has a sole purpose of bringing positivity to the community, and then with the desire to just build people up, it has been one of the greatest joys, one of the greatest experiences that I've had a chance to be a part of when it comes to being a guest. This studio, it is fantastic. As I watched my show before I came in, I saw the lighting and I was impressed by the way this room is lit, but it is so warm and comforting to be in here. Whether you're a guest or a viewer, this show is a must watch, a must be a part of, and just continue doing great things out there, Monica. You are changing lives every day.
And welcome back to the Real Monica Adams Show. If you're just tuning in, we are helping you, literally holding your hand through a process that many of you absolutely hate, okay? So I just want you to really quick and have some fun with me. Tell me if you name your vehicle, and if so, what do you name it? It's just like one word you can put on there, or maybe, who knows, maybe you have several words, but my Corvette was the Beast, right? And then my husband had like his Jeep that he has right now. I think he calls it Black Betty or something like that. So I always sing that Black Betty song. But where in the world did that ever come from? Anybody know? Why did we all start naming our cars? But yeah, have fun with us. Tell me what you named your car right now and what car you are currently driving. What's your dream car? So let me ask you that. What are you currently driving? Because I saw you pull up. It looks like a pretty car.
Yeah, it's a Cadillac.
Yeah.
Cadillac. Love it.
I had a Cadillac Escalade. It was, again, these were all things that I bought that were used. I had never bought, I don't think I ever have. I've never bought a brand new vehicle. My dad, who's in the picture right next to you, always said, Monica, you don't want to buy a brand new car because as soon as you pull off the lot, you've already lost however much. Is that true?
It is to a certain extent. It depends on the car. It depends on the deal, really. most of your cars, every car is going to depreciate unless you know what you're buying. Like if you're buying like a Corvette at the right price, those cars are going to appreciate.
Right.
Nice sports cars, if you buy them right, they're going to appreciate, and they're actually an investment. But cars are mostly just, transportation. I don't want to use the word toy, but, it's when somebody buys a car, it's most of it's an emotional purchase. It's a car they love, or somebody says, "Hey, you should get that," or "You look great driving in this car," or something along that line. But I enjoy my cars. I'm a car lover. I'm a car guy. I've always been a car guy.
What were you when you were a little boy?
Oh yeah.
I've always
loved
into
cars.
more muscle cars, or what was your favorite back then?
Oh, my favorite car, the '69 GTX with a 426 Hemi, and I bought it for $300 and 4 flat tires. Now, I wish I would have kept that car, because that car this day, if it was fully restored,
worth how much?
Oh, I saw them on Barrett-Jackson auction going for $2-3 million a few years ago because of the engine. But some of these older muscle cars, the people have hung on to that their parents own, or barn door finds, or things like that. They're you just don't know what it could be a gold mine.
Well,
I love that.
And that's the one thing I've never known is, how do you have a particular car that all of a sudden appreciates and doesn't depreciate?
Mm-hmm.
You don't know that going into it. And obviously, if Paul had hung on to that, here you go, multi-millionaire. You're like,
right.
Dang it.
I know. So you just never know. But a lot of these older sports cars, they bring big money.
My father had a 57 Chevy with the Continental kit and the skirts. And my mom's like, I wish that was, I've not even seen pictures of it. I just always heard about it. I think he had to get rid of it when he went into the service. But I know, who is it? Somebody had a GTO that they wrote me in about, because they knew I loved cars.
Mm-hmm.
Richard, what kind of car is yours, by the way? I know Richard with Dude's Playground has a beautiful car. Lance, what are you driving, by the way? Zach just said my car is named Scarlet. Okay. Is she red? Zach, is it a red one? Carrie says, I have a silver Toyota Highlander hybrid and we call it the Silver Bullet. See? Lance, 2007 S550 Mercedes and 2010 Ford F-150, 452,000 miles.
Wow.
I was just going to say,
it's got to be a big diesel.
Yeah, no one knows how long cars will go, and they probably make the jump to get rid of them. This isn't the case anymore, but if you go back to when I was a little girl, my dad used to always say, get rid of a car before it hits 100,000 miles.
Right.
That's not really the case anymore.
No, it isn't. Now these cars are, if they're taken care of, will last quite a long time.
400,000 miles, evidently.
Yeah, and most guys who have these diesel trucks, diesels don't get broken into till they're at 100,000 miles. So, as long as they're taken care of and you keep the mechanics on them running well, they'll just keep on going.
Your Cadillac, did you name it?
I did not.
And I surprisingly have not named this Mercedes I have. It's my beautiful Monica Blue that I love, but I actually didn't name her. But yes, what are you driving right now? What have you named it? No, it's a black Honda Civic. It's a long story. I was going to say, Zach, I don't even know that story. What is that all about? Oh, he said that it's gas.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, it's a gas truck.
Yeah.
Wow.
That is shocking, right?
That's great.
So Lance is in the insurance industry, and I wanted you to play off of this. So he said a good practice is to provide your insurance agent with the vehicle ID number before you close the deal. That practice could inform you of possible salvage vehicle, of possible problems, salvage the vehicle, and then otherwise the insurance costs. So you were mentioning what you do and what you tell people right away.
Right. And as far as that goes, you would see that if you bought a car, say from a private party, you would see that if you bought a Carfax. Carfaxes these days, if you want to purchase one outright, are like $40-50. So most people don't want to spend that expense. They just see the car, say, oh yeah, it looks fine. I'm not worried about it.
Right.
But it could be a salvage title, many accidents. I've seen my laughable Carfax that I saw was contact with a human. I'm like, oh, I don't think we want this car. So, you can find a lot if you get a Carfax. And yes, Lance is right as far as the insurance goes. And people don't check that until usually after they bought the car.
After the fact, right.
But when they're going through that with me, I go through all of that with the customer, making sure it's the right car, making sure that they can afford the insurance on this car. And if it's too high, I'll look for quotes. I've got friends that are in the insurance business and see if I can help them with that as well. So that's a big part of it. Especially when it comes to young people, that's my first question. Can you afford the insurance on the car?
Right.
Oh, we haven't even thought about that. Well, let's think about that, because I don't want to, sell somebody a car just to sell them a car.
Yes.
I want to make sure it's the right car.
Well, not only the insurance, but they're now finally cracking down on this again, but we all would go around and we would look at the expiration on when you were supposed to license that car, right? There's those temporary tags and all the personal property tax and everything that you're supposed to be paying, but it is it can be a very expensive process that you have to go through. And we've had a lot of the younger generation that have had to think, do I pay my rent? Do I pay my car payment? How am I going to pay insurance? Wait a minute, taxes, forget it. I'm not going to go to renew it, which is obviously illegal, but all of those things that you have to go through. And that's why before you ever go through any of that, Paul's helping you with that experience. So you and I and my sister-in-law and Audra, who just made a comment, we were saying Car Dash, the whole idea of this, where did it come from? We're going to ask Paul that. We're also going to say we can absolutely, from a female standpoint, because we always feel like we're going to be the victims and we're the targets. Oh, they see a woman. Oh, they're going to take advantage of us with the car buying experience. That's how we feel, by the way, right? Ladies, come on, join me on that. But I think it's all of us. I do think your market absolutely for women, for older generation as well. She said, I love this, Paul. I absolutely hate the car buying experience. My last car, I had one of my guy friends meet me at the dealership to help me feel like I wasn't getting screwed through the process, she said. I'll be ready again late this year as the ball mover, 2010 black Lexus 350X, 112,000 miles. So I'm sure you hear that a lot, that we women feel like they are immediately when we walk onto the lot going to take it up another $5,000, $10,000 because we're a woman. Right. You've heard that, I'm sure.
I've heard it and I've seen it. So
see?
There we are. But I think one of the best aspects about what I do is I help everyone because I can save not only money but time and information and be transparent about the whole process. So what I do is if somebody calls me and they're looking for a car, they can meet at my office, meet at my home. I'll go to their home. We can sit down and talk about it. Make sure that they're getting the right car. Once we find them the right car, I have relationships with all the dealerships everywhere. So I will send them to the dealership where the car is. Now, when they get there, all the salesman's going to do is just hand them the keys. They take the car for a ride. They drop the car back off, hand them the keys, and leave. They're not going to be pressured to go inside and sit down and talk. So all they're going to do is drive the car. Then they'll get home and they'll call me. Paul, I love this car. Okay, great. Then I'll get with a general manager or the owner and negotiate the price for them.
They don't have to do anything except for say, this is what I'm interested in.
That's it.
You then have them drive it, and then they're out of it after that.
They're out of it. Once I get the price of the car, then I'll help them set up their financing. I'll arrange all of that. If they have a trade-in, I'll take care of that as well, whether they're looking to sell it outright or work it into the deal. I'll take care of all of that. Once I have all of the information, payment, rate, everything on the car, I'll call the customer. This is your payment. This is going to be your interest rate. This is what you're getting. And I'm a big sponsor or advocate of extended warranties on cars. Because these new cars, people are keeping them longer. But what they don't realize is that on all these new cars, now they're basically computers on wheels. And when you see the dealerships expanding, they're mostly expanding their service departments. Why? Because now these cars need more service, and they're more expensive to maintain. If you have the warranties on the car, you don't have to worry about it. And I make sure when they're getting those that they're also paying the right price for them.
Yeah, because we used to always hear, oh, they're just trying to do an extended warranty, and they know that it's going to break down outside of that window. Right. That's what we used to hear. But now you're saying, I mean, this is actually interesting to hear. You are a proponent of that.
Absolutely, I am. I have one on my car, and after my factory warranty expired, I was driving my car home from work, and there was a knock in my engine. And my car sent me a text saying, I need to get this service immediately. Okay, I took the car to service. Well, half the computer system blew out. And that was a $12,000 repair.
Oof, Lord.
That I'm glad I bought that warranty that it paid for it. But again, I make sure people are getting the right warranties because, like everything else out there, there's good, bad, and ugly. And I make sure that what they're getting is a good one.
Right, because otherwise we just feel like it's just going into somebody's pocket just because they were able to sell something else.
Right. Yeah. So I negotiate all of that and make sure you're getting the best deals on everything, and I'll go over all of that with you. Okay. So once I have all that information done, and you say, okay, Paul, that sounds great. I'll call the dealership. I'll have all of the paperwork pre-printed. I'll make an appointment. We'll meet there, and we'll be in and out in 10 minutes. We go to the dealership. I walk into finance. We sit there, get all the paperwork done, leave. The car's ready to go, full of gas, and done, and then you're gone.
You're like the real estate agent for a car.
Yes, and especially after the sale. So say if somebody gets a door ding on their car, I have a dent company, so we'll send somebody out to their home. Won't charge them for that. On the 1-year anniversary of their car purchase.
Oh yeah, I love this.
Yeah, on the 1-year anniversary of their car purchase, I'll have the car picked up from your home or office and have it fully detailed inside and out, professional detail, and brought it back to you the same day, so now you have a fresh car, and that's free of charge.
Because you have your own detail company.
Yes. Yeah. So everything like that. I want
to look like that, huh?
Absolutely. That's it. Oh, and it will. We also offer ceramic coating services for cars, powder coated wheels. People like to, once they buy their cars, they want to personalize it a little bit.
Right.
And there again, that's another thing where people spend a little bit too much money, and I make sure that doesn't happen.
I love, and you've been doing this now. When did you start Car Dash?
I started Car Dash 7 years ago.
Okay.
And the one thing that I'm really proud of is over that time period, I've never had a complaint on people buying the car, because of being transparent and showing them everything and just going through and holding their hand. And at the end of the day, I'm able to save more people money than if they went and did it themselves.
Right. Well, and again, it's look, all we ever want to do in life is remove things that make us uncomfortable, feeling inside of, I don't want to go through this. You don't have to now.
Right.
Like Paul is literally holding your hand through all of this. I just thought when he first contacted me, I thought, yeah, this just makes sense. And he's like, right? So I wanted to help him get the message out there. You're going to see Paul on our show talking about a lot of different things, because this is, again, I know whether you're a man or a woman, because I know I'm saying that I could absolutely see you market towards women, but guys don't want to really go through the headache either.
No, guys don't want to go through it. This day and age, people are working 40, 50, 60, 70 hours a week. And on the weekends, they want to be with their family.
Right.
Well, now they have to go buy a car, which, that's like going to a dental appointment. Who wants to do that, right? So women, yes, but also a lot of professionals who don't have the time to go out and do this.
Right.
We can help. I can help everybody, whether it's a $5,000 car or a $500,000 car. I've got you, and we can take care of this for you.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It runs the gamut. It's literally what you just said, giving people their time back,
right?
Having more experiences with those that they love, and not having to waste the time of going through all of this that I'm sure stresses a lot of people out. Rose said, Paul, and by the way, Rose, there is no stupid question. She says stupid question. Do you look for any priced car for someone?
Yes.
There's your answer.
Yes. And I get a lot of people that call me saying, "Hey, I only have $3,000." Well, that's where things get a little tricky, because I have literally thousands of cars at my disposal, and trying to find something that's that low, I will do my best,
right?
And I'll make sure the car is gone through. But we're gonna talk about it first. I want to make sure that you really want to do this, because I'll get you the best car that I can for your budget, but we may have to look at different avenues.
But do you also, we'll ask this. Let me look at your questions. The question I'm going to have coming up for you is, do you also help them through, which is what I think a real estate agent does for the home, which is looking at, let's be realistic here. Let's not have you strapped for the next 10, 15, 20 years of having to make payment, and the crazy high interest rates of all of that. And who knows where that's all going.
Right.
Well, we'll answer that one in just a second, because I think that is where some people need their hand held. They might have this whole visions of grandeur, but be like, well, this isn't where you are right now. Let's be smart with this. Okay, Richard said he has a 1965 Buick Special with an LS, no idea how many miles. And yes, she's red, and he calls her Lucy.
Love it.
So naming vehicles, have you done that in your life?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But just not this one.
No, not this one. I've got a big red Hummer at home that I just call it the Beast, because that's what it is. It's a monster.
And it eats up a lot of gas.
It eats up a lot of gas. It's a bear to drive. I feel like I'm driving a tank. But, I take it to car shows, parades,
I love
events, things like that, because it gets a lot of attention.
Is it an H2?
It's an H1.
H1. Oh, it's the
it's an H1. Yeah,
oh
it's
my gosh.
it's a big red beast.
That I need to see.
Oh, it's You'll see it on my website, or if you go to my personal page on Facebook, it's right there. But
I got teased
I
when
love the
I
car.
wanted an H2, and everyone's like, Monica, you do not need to buy a Hummer. They're awesome.
They're-
I don't know.
they're
I
awesome.
still like them.
Oh, yeah.
Julie said I drive a Mini Cooper and love Minnie Mouse, so her name is Minnie. Julie's telling you this is a wonderful ideal. I absolutely love this. Great. See, we're going to take another break. So when we come back, that's the question that I want Paul to go a little bit more in depth. Besides everything he just told you that he can do for you, it's also that effect of maybe I need to guide you. I mean, ultimately, they're going to make their own decision, right? You can't be their parent.
Right.
But I'd like to know the discussion that you have with them to help them say, this is probably the budget that you really need to be in right now. And so that you're not paying an absorbent amount of interest on your payments every single month, that you're strapped to that for the next 2 decades, right? Any questions for Paul? Let's see, Stephanie, I'll get to yours in just a second. Any questions about the process that he's able to do for you? And again, we'll give you all the information on how you can find him online, on social, as well as his phone number, so that he can, from this day forward, help you and all those that you love. Don't go anywhere.
This lady got me in the best shape of my life. I literally didn't know that I could be in shape like that. But the amount that she pours into her clients, and especially whenever you get the one-on-one training, it's mind-blowing. I mean, it was really life-changing. I learned so much about proper form, about nutrition, about just being able to invest in myself. I hired Monica to be my personal trainer, which was one of the best decisions I've ever made.
Discover your full potential with a personalized styling experience. Designing, customizing, and transforming the looks of men and women. Revamp your individual style and embrace what makes you, you. That's real confidence.
Create beautiful gardens and landscaped areas with everything you need at Hoffman Hillerman Nursery and Florist. A great selection of outdoor and indoor plants, gardening items, landscape materials, lawn and garden equipment, and much more. Hoffman Hillerman Nursery and
Oh, that's going to be a fun one for sure. That's this Wednesday. So no 7 a.m. show this Wednesday. We're going to instead be at Hoffman Hillerman Nursery in Washington, Missouri at 10 a.m. And yes, Jenny, I will do that for you. Jenny said, please bring me back something fun. She hated that she was going to miss that one. But I'd like for you to come out. It's going to be a pretty day. If you are in the planting mindset, and, you know, Becca just gave you the forecast, so it's definitely that spring season to get out there. And you know what? After everything we've been through with the loss of our dear friend Brian McKenna, this is cathartic for me, getting into the soil and planting. And I want to thank Jenny, by the way. She and her family bought a special plant for me to plant in honor of Brian. And it's this beautiful, bright yellow that just brings a smile to my face, just as he did. So Jenny, from the bottom of my heart, it's amazing. I will tell you this, Paul, her family, I haven't even heard the full story in person yet, but just, it sounds absolutely hilarious. They drove around Cottleville where Jim and I were having dinner, trying to find where my car was so they could surprise us with the plant. They said, we probably look like stalkers trying to find out where the car was and drop it next to the car. But then they saw our car and went, okay, there it is. They thought we were driving something else. And then I think they probably set the plant down by a different car. And then as they were driving out, she went, oh no, there it is. they drove that one. Okay, if you're just tuning in, welcome back. Be sure to watch the beginning of this show so you can get all the information about how truly Paul is there for you, helping you through the whole buying process, but also making sure that you're not getting something that you're really unhappy with. Because to me, I personally love the thought of getting a car, but yes, the process of everything after you fall in love with it is what we don't enjoy. And this is where Paul helps you out. So if you need a car, whether it's a used car or it's a brand new car, he can help you out with this. Let me put up on the screen how you can find him. Again, Car Dash online and on social media. It's Car Dash LLC. There's the address for you. And then the website, car-llc.com. Is that your personal cell number that we just had on the screen?
Yes.
Okay, so you can call that phone number. You can also follow him on social media, as he mentioned, Instagram, as well as TikTok or Facebook, need a car, they've got the solution for you. So let's go to some questions, and then also the question that I had for you about helping through that. Let's see, who do we want to start with? Okay, so Carol says, how do you get paid?
Okay. I charge my clients, I charge them $3,500 a car. And people say, my God, that's a lot. But when I break it down for them, when I show them what I'm saving them off the price of the car, and especially in finance, it's always a minimum of $10,000.
Yeah.
And I can show that to them and show them how I'm saving. So it's really not costing them anything.
Right.
But there's a lot of procedures and there's a lot to go through that I do behind the scenes, as I'm sure Monica does, why she makes this look so easy. And that's making it easy for you. But there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes to make sure that all comes together and make sure that all works.
Well, right. And obviously, I just mentioned, it's very much like a real estate agent helping you with the house. This is the same thing, a concierge real estate style agent for the vehicle. So a real estate agent is getting their commission off of what they're selling with the house. So obviously, he's not doing it for free, but he is saving you when you break it all down. And the main thing is you're not having to go through the negativity that you feel happens when you're buying a car. Richard's teasing you. He said a Hummer, but wouldn't you really rather have a Buick?
I used to have one, and I do miss that car.
Diane, thank you. You love the top. Yes, it is from the recent mobile Monica. Yes, it is correct. It is from that. Good morning. I have named all my cars. I drive a Toyota RAV4 and I call it the Tank. Yes, we all like to name our cars. Okay. Anybody else with a question? Okay. So again, the question I had was, when you're sitting down with someone, whether it's this is my budget or I think it is. Sometimes there, as I mentioned, people might inflate it, and but you're privy to their financial aspect side, so you're able to say this is truly your budget. This is really where you want to stay if you don't want to get uncomfortable.
Right. And as I tell people, whenever they're looking for the car, whatever kind of car it is, I tell them, you know what, your car is always great until you get that first payment.
Yeah.
And then do you love it after that?
Nope.
So I want to make sure that it's within budget, that you can afford the car. Because if you can't afford the car, then you're not going to have a great experience, and that's going to float negatively on me.
Right.
Not only that, but then I want to make sure that I know that you're getting a good deal, that you can afford the car, that I'm comfortable with doing this for you.
And then you also help them, because you're working with so many different levels of people. By the time we finally get that car and say it's ours, you're also trying to find them the best rate, I'm sure, of what they're going to be having to pay each month.
Right. And the good thing with car loans is that they're easy to they're easy to refinance. And I also help them with that as well. I have friends in the banking industry that if they call me and they say, Paul, I can't afford this payment anymore, or I want to look at different rates, I'll take care of that for you. I'll get everything all set up for you, and it's very easy. So that's really that really isn't a factor, because people come to me that may not have the best credit.
Yes.
And your car credit gives you your best credit. So we'll find you the best deal at the time, but still make sure that it's affordable. But within 9 months of that, I'm going to start looking at getting it refinanced for you. And again, that's easy to do, and that's just a part of the process that I want to help you with it, so that you're not having to burden yourself with, I don't know how to do that. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't do this. Well, that's where we're going to be comfortable with everything. I want to make sure that everything's going to work out for you.
Again, you want it to be a good experience.
Right.
That way it is, and that's the whole thing. So if you've never heard of Car Dash, which I hadn't, and Paul's like, see, and that's not a good thing. I've been doing this now for 7 years. And I said, well, then let's team up together.
Right.
Let's get that message out there, which is what I want you to do. I ask you all the time to share, make sure you're following, not just me, but now each and every one of those that support us. I want you to support them. So be sure to follow Car Dash. Once you go to see him on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, wherever, make sure that you click follow so that you can see everything that they're doing. But once you have that experience of, wow, this truly was the best, and now I know the next time I want to buy a car, or a friend or a family member, tell them not to go through that process. Let him help you with that. Also, I saw a comment move earlier from your daughter that said, I'm proud of you. Way to go, Dad. She's watching from where?
She's watching from Sweden.
Look at that.
Brittany, I love you, babe. How are you?
So I love how we are able to go all over the world. We've had people in Italy, the Philippines, Mexico. We can do this show from anywhere, by the way. Barbara?
Yeah.
Right? How about you bring us to Sweden?
Bring us, Brittany.
Brittany, let's go to Sweden.
Let's go.
How often do you get a chance to see her?
Whenever she comes into town. She's been over there now almost 3 years. I have not had a chance to get over there yet. She's busy. Her husband's busy. And it's I'm looking forward to it. But her and I do FaceTime every week, and it's interesting when she's walking around town, seeing the people, just picturing myself being there and just watching what's going on. It's really interesting.
You
What
got to
technology
make it
brings.
happen. Right, exactly. I mean, we think about when forever ago, decades ago, kids would move away, and then you're
Right.
lucky, to have been on the phone with them.
Right.
Now you get a chance to see them.
Yeah, I hear a lot of people tell me, "Oh, I miss my daughter. She moved to Montana." Well, mine's in Sweden.
Exactly.
I mean, Montana, I can get to. Across an ocean, that's a whole nother story. But she couldn't be happier, and that makes me happy. So I love you.
But Brittany, I love it as well. So how long has she been there?
She's been there about 3 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, about 3 years now, 2-3 years now, and it's a totally different lifestyle, and I love it. One thing being a car guy,
Yeah.
she just got her driver's license over there, and that was an interesting process.
Oh.
Yeah, how long? I think it took you 6 months to get it.
Really?
Yeah, because they want to make sure that the students drive in every weather condition. If they know how to drive in the rain, snow, night, whatever the case is, before they'll give them their license, they want to make sure everything is safe, and I love that. This day and age, they just throw kids permits, throw kids licenses, and we're all out there driving.
Yes.
We're all on defense driving, and you have to be.
Yes.
But I'm looking forward to going over there and seeing the different changes and being in culture shock, so to speak.
I love it. Well, Brittany, your dad's a great guy, and he's definitely helping out. Okay, Audra said, how long does the process usually take from first call to when you're sitting in your car in your driveway?
My fastest turnaround has been 7 hours.
Oh my gosh, that's fast.
Yeah, a guy had called me about looking for a car for his son within a budget. I called around. I found a car within his budget. He couldn't believe it. And I said, well, let's go check it out. He said, you want to go now? I said, let's go. So I went with him to go see the car. And and this is one of these instances that, they usually take it for a test drive, bring it home, and then call me. But I went with him.
Yeah.
And he wanted the car that day for his son that was coming home from Mizzou. I said, okay. Well, he loved the car. And then I sent him to lunch, and I negotiated everything with the car, got him in, got him out. We got there 11 o'clock in the morning. Actually, it was about 4 hours. Turned it around. He was out of there he came back and he was in and out. Loved it.
That's super fast.
Yeah, loved it. And it's not, for me, for me, this is easy as far as going through the process and working everything out, making sure everything works out well. Because I know the steps, and everybody knows me, so I want to make sure that everything is right. So it doesn't. I love it. I love serving people, and that's my whole purpose of this, is to help people, and my passion is doing this.
That's how he and I found each other, by the way. Well, actually, the thing that's really, really cool. So he had reached out to me a couple of months back, and we have a mutual person that we know. He was like, you actually used to live by my dad. And I'm like, what? This is back when I had my house in Afton. And I used to be a spokesperson for Hans Wyman. They were on my radio show. And then he had hired me to do commercials for them. And that was a long, long time ago. And he's like, Monica, he always had the greatest things to say about you. And I'm like, thank you. He was such a good man. And then he said that this is going to give you chills, everybody, that he was praying on how he could get his name out to more and more people. And you even talked to your pastor about this.
I did.
And then what happened after?
Things started getting, things started really coming around. I started getting a lot closer to my church, working with my pastor and getting to the parishioners. And I'm just trying to help as many people as I can. And I absolutely love it. And, the people that do this, I have not had anyone who doesn't have a big smile on their face when it was done, who said, where have you been? And, the thing is, there's a lot of people that broker cars, that sell cars. Yeah. But the biggest thing to me is after you buy your car.
Right.
I want to make sure that you're happy with it. So I keep in contact with you to see if you have any questions, making sure you still love your car. Can I help you with anything? Yeah. I also have a concierge service. So if somebody's at work or they're sick and their car needs to go to service, we'll go to their home, pick up their car, take it to service, wash it, and bring it back and drop it off. And there they are. So it just, things that I want to do to help the community, to help people to buy their cars, and to make it a pleasant experience, to make it what it should be.
Well, I'm sure with everyone that you work with, you also listen to them say, this is what I really love. Keep mental notes of that. Use that in the marketing aspect, again, where you follow him online. But also they may say something, you know what, you could also add, and I'm sure he probably will because he wants it to be that full-blown experience. So don't you love this? Again, next time you are needing a vehicle, don't do it on your own. Let Paul do that for you, and then just start spreading the word to everybody. If you're not in the market right now, you probably know somebody that is. So take this, share it on their page and say, look at how cool this is. Car Dash, again, Car Dash LLC. And let me leave that phone number up for you because this is how you're going to get a hold of Paul. So it's 314, is that 4894-815?
Yes.
314-489-4815, car-llc.com, or you can email him, car-llc@gmail.com. Go onto the website, see all these wonderful vehicles and all these happy people. One of the things that I love that Paul said was he was praying. He asked his pastor, pray with me. He said he went home. Was it that day that all of a sudden he said he saw this show?
Yes.
And he felt like this was an answer to his prayer.
Yeah. When I got home, I was just scrolling on Facebook and I saw Monica's show, and then it dawned on me, why haven't I thought of this before? And it was just a calling, and I had to call her. I had to get a hold of her, and we had to talk. That was it. So I made sure that happened, and I was really excited. And I knew who she was. I knew who you were, and my dad always bragged about you. And I used to see you in the neighborhood, and we've talked before actually. And this was it. This was the calling, and I started getting chills about it, thinking about coming on the show and hearing everything that you're doing, the people that you're reaching. You're such a positive impact on the community. It just makes sense.
Thank you. As are you. And I love the fact that really in the end, what you want to do is serve. And that is what this show's about. That's what our dear friend Brian McKenna wanted to do. That's really what we all should do, right? What kind of impact can we make that when we're here no longer, people say, this is what Paul wanted. This is what Monica wanted. This is what Brian wanted. And I want to add your names, all of you, to that list of bettering the community and bettering our life.
Right.
Just again, serve.
Right. And unfortunately, it's when things, tragedies like this happen, when people are taken away, that then we start thinking about, wow, look at what he did. Look what she did. How can we now do that? I wish that we lived in this is a world to where, we could start doing now so we can, show them how we're helping them and honoring them on taking their message.
We can.
And that's
my belief.
And that's what I'm trying to do here. That's what I'm hoping we can do with you, because I just love what you do for the community. I always have. I followed you for a long time.
Thank you.
So yeah, I just love it.
Well, before we wrap up, Diane said, Car Dash is a wonderful company. So glad he does what he does. Glad he reached out. I am as well. And I'm glad that you all know about him now. But now you got to do your part. And then you share that name, all the information. And again, tell people, because you may not have heard anything like this before. He will take care of you through the process and after the process, which is a big deal as well. Car Dash LLC and the owner, Paul Meyer. Thank you so much, everybody. All right. So at the end of every show, we do a devotional. Okay. So they are 100 Days to Freedom from books. Okay. So one of them is from fear and anxiety. One is from shame. One's from depression, anger, and then overeating. Which one are you feeling the world needs to hear today?
Oh, probably anger.
Anger. I'll tell you, the first day I heard that Brian's life was taken, I just cried. The second day, I was mad. And that's the process we all go through.
Right.
So many emotions. I think a lot of us are still in shock. So anger is a good one that we haven't actually done in a while. That's how we'll wrap up the show. 100 Days to Freedom from Anger when we return.
Carroll House is now the contemporary furniture design center.
We now have the largest selection of the latest ultra-modern furniture.
Sleek European designs, unique metals, bold lacquers, plush fabrics, and retro styles.
Modern furnishings with exclusive collections only at Carroll House.
Plus free financing, free delivery and setup, and free in-home design.
Visit the St. Louis Center for Contemporary Design inside our 3.5-acre showrooms at Carroll House.
Because you like nice things.
And welcome back. Again, we're in the wrap up of the Real Monica Adams Show, and ironic, that kind of matches like coloring of what I want. I didn't know which one he had picked. 100 Days to Freedom from Anger. So listen to the words, and then we'll wrap up with Paul here in just a second. This is called Enemy Love. It's day 31 of 100 Days to Freedom from Anger. You have heard the law that says, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say, love your enemies. Pray for those who persecute you. That's Matthew 5, verses 43 through 44. Many times anger might be driven by a broken relationship. We might think of people who have broken our trust or wounded us to be our enemies. We feel justified in our anger toward them. We think that if other people heard what happened to us, they would understand our anger and probably take our side, right? It's that person against this person. Jesus had another approach, to love our enemies. You know, it's hard to even imagine what that means when we have so much anger toward those who have caused tremendous pain in our lives. So what does it mean to actually love them? It starts with another teaching of Jesus. And what is that? It's forgiveness. To love our enemies means to forgive them. Forgiveness releases them of any obligation to us. It doesn't make the wrong right. Rather, it frees us from the wrong. And sometimes people mistakenly think forgiveness means that we are okay with the offense in the first place. That's not true. Forgiveness doesn't correct the offense. It begins a healing process, though. Another part of loving our enemies is to pray for them. This act is probably even more difficult to comprehend than even forgiving them, right? Jesus teaches us to love our enemies because doing so actually heals your own heart. Loving our enemies doesn't mean we will be in a relationship with them. Doesn't mean you ever have to really even interact with them again. It just means you've prayed for them. You wish them well, that somehow they can correct these offenses on maybe somebody else. It's all dependent on their work of restitution with us. If reconciliation happens, that's wonderful. Many times it doesn't. As long as we nurture our offense, our anger takes root in our hearts and begins to affect everything in our lives. By loving our enemies, you actually free yourself from the past. The process of forgiveness and healing, it's not quick, it's not easy, but it is the way that Jesus taught us to live our lives, and it is ultimately the best way. Pope John Paul II actually said forgiveness is above all a personal choice, a decision of the heart to go against natural instinct to pay back evil with evil. And Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said forgiveness doesn't mean ignoring what's been done or putting a false label on an evil act. It means rather that the evil act no longer remains as a barrier to the relationship. Forgiveness, it's a catalyst creating the atmosphere necessary for a fresh start and a new beginning. So here's your prayer, folks. Lord Jesus, help me forgive those who have hurt me, heal my wounds, and allow me to live in freedom. Thank you for loving me and for helping me as I love my enemies. It's a hard one, I know, and it's not one that you're just going to snap your fingers and say, it's all good. It might take a little bit, but love thy neighbor and love thy enemy. It's a good one for you today. Again, today's show with Paul Meyer with Car Dash, and we mentioned how you can find him online, Car Dash LLC, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok as well. And then here's the thing, I almost asked Paul earlier, like, are you literally on call 24 hours a day? Not 24 hours a day, but they can call you as early as 8?
8 o'clock in the morning to 11 o'clock at night, 7 days a week.
And just like call just to start asking questions, no pressure.
Just call me if you have any questions at all. Tell you how I can help you. There's no pressure to do anything. I just want to tell you how I'm able to serve you and get you the car that you're looking for.
Right. So that's the thing. As you've just been hearing about him today, you might be like, okay, well, I just like to start asking some questions, get the process going of tell me more about what this is all about, because it's all so new to me.
Right.
And then take it from there.
Right, and I'll be the real Paul Meyer. So I'll tell you. So I'll tell you how it is. I'll be transparent. I'll give you my thoughts, my ideas, and we'll go from there. But the bottom line is, I want to make sure that you're getting the right car.
Yes.
And that and that I'm saving you money, because as far as I know, this is the only self-service business that actually saves you money. You're not paying more for it.
I love
that.
So
I really, when I put this together, I wanted to make sure that the circle was as perfect as I can make it by taking anything that was negative out of it. And I redo that every day. But I'm always learning. I love learning, and I just want to help you.
Well, I'm so glad that we finally had a chance to do this, to get that word out there, to introduce all of you. And again, do us a favor and share like crazy. And let's help him out. Small business, helping small business, serving the world.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Thank you.
Paul, thank you. And to each and every one of you, thank you. Tomorrow, we have Stephanie Seek on. She is a life and a love coach. So for everyone that is maybe single, divorced, widowed, that dating game, that's another thing, right, Paul? People are like, oh, the process. She can help you out with this. And she got a really interesting way that she goes at it. So we have Stephanie. She'll be in studio with us tomorrow. And then Wednesday out in Washington, Missouri. Thursday, a little positive talk time where we will showcase all the beautiful animals that are there. And there are two. I know Jim's not going to let me have another one, but I cannot believe Dumpling is still there. It's this gorgeous Shiba Inu. If anybody wants a Shiba Inu, it is the most perfect looking dog and acting dog I've ever seen. And then Jenny, you should adopt Swiss. That's all I'm going to say. Okay? Make it happen. All of you have a beautiful day. Remember what we always ask you to do, and can't say it even higher today after learning what happened to Brian McKenna over the weekend. You can truly be anything you want in life. You can serve people. You can dream up big things. But the greatest thing you can do for each and every person, and Brian and I and Paul would all ask you to do this, is to be kind. God bless you all. Have a beautiful day.